One rabbit, we weren't too stressed about it. They're too sweet. Hello, welcome back to Sage and Stone Homestead. You have a hair on you. My name is Heather. This past weekend we had a processing day where we processed 3 goats and over 20 rabbits, and I need to get the meat put away over the next few days. Home processed meat, it kind of depends. Our fridge is kept really cold. We can leave it in here for a little over 2 weeks and everything is fine, but we like to put it away pretty much as quickly as we can, because any time that we kind of waste on the front end of the lifespan of that processed meat, we lose on the back end. So let's say I want to thaw it out, you know, a few days before I use it. I'm risking it, you know, kind of going bad in that time frame if I wait kind of too long after we've processed it. So I've got to put it away. As you can see, this fridge is quite cold. So we have the goats up here and then 2 bins of rabbit. I did save the rabbit hides. These are down here. They'll probably go in the refrigerator or the freezer for now. Today is Wednesday and my goal really is to get through these 3 things over the next 3 days. So I'm going to choose 1 bin of rabbit. We're going to cook some rabbit for dinner. We're going to put some up in cans. If I remember right, there is 1 rooster in here. Yep, there's a rooster right there. So what we've done is we've put these rabbits in a salt brine. You can tell that they're not submerged. This is totally fine. In one of these meat totes, we probably put about 2 gallons worth of water and about a cup of salt. And in theory, that helps kind of draw out some of the remaining blood out of the meat, and it's pretty effective. So I can move it easier. I am going to drain it right into the lawn here. It's good fertilizer for the clover. I guess maybe it's not that great for the clover with the salt content, but it doesn't seem to kill it. I don't know. So the chicken that is in this bin over here, I am going to elect just to stick him in a freezer bag for now, and we're gonna cook him up this week. That was a mean rooster. So mean rooster stew is on the menu. Anybody else experienced Easter egger or like Americana breeds of chicken? Those roosters have been the mean ones here. I don't know about you guys, but every single one we've had has been mean. This particular bird was half Easter egger, half Moran, and he actually has quite a lot of meat on him. I think this chicken is almost a year old though, so there's that. So there's quite a few rabbits in here, and I think we're gonna keep this one out for dinner. This one looks nice and big. This particular batch of bunnies that we did was a hybrid batch. So we did have some of our pretty bunnies, the ones that we normally sell as pets. We did butcher them this time in order to keep some of their pelts, because we've been experimenting with tanning the hides. And so there are some bigger rabbits though, because we did process quite a few of our normal Californians, and you can see the difference in the body size. I've set that rabbit aside for now. So what I am going to do is load up all of these jars with bone-in rabbit. You can debone rabbit. For me, it feels a little bit fussy, and I don't find deboning the rabbit from the jar a big deal at all, so this is what I prefer to do. I do have a video on parting out a whole rabbit into its usable pieces, and I'll link that at the end of this video. I am just gonna kind of breeze through piecing them out just so I can get these jars filled up, but you'll be able to see the gist of what I do. So as you can see here, this is what we get off of 1 rabbit. We have the 2 back legs, the front legs. These are what we call the belly flap, and this is the back, or like the saddle. Here is the rib cage, the neck, and then the hips I stuck inside. This I'm going to save for the bone broth bag, and this is going to go in a jar. With the smaller rabbits, it's usually about 1 rabbit per jar. With the bigger ones, it's not quite that for sure. So I'm just gonna stick them in here raw, just like this. I might be able to cram this in here. Yes, I can. I can get this in. There we go. So I'll be following a recipe for pressure canning this rabbit that is from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. I'll be sure to link that in the description box below. And you can add water when you pressure can meat, but you don't have to. This is actually going to cook as it pressure cans. It's going to heat it up really hot. I believe the temperature, internal temperature, is going to get to 240. So this is going to be ready to eat straight out of the can. But also as it cooks, the rabbit's going to release all its natural juices, and we'll have an excellent bone broth in here. So when we go to use a rabbit, we're going to want to save that. So I'm canning in quarts, as you can see, and it is an option to put a teaspoon of salt in here, and I like to do that, but I'm going to do that after I get all the jars packed. Alrighty, so I already have the big canner going. There's 7 quarts in here. We're gonna get these guys ready to put over here. So I think that was 12 rabbits, got 12 quarts, and I do have a little bit left over. We're just gonna cook these with dinner. So we'll have like a rabbit plus a little, which is fine. Right now, 1 rabbit is feeding our family, but our kids are growing, and so having a little bit of extra totally works. So here are the quarts. I have not added the salt yet. You're supposed to have about 1.25 inches of head space. So the head space with meat sometimes can be a little bit variable just because there's all these peaks and valleys or whatever. So it's a little bit lower here, it's a little bit higher over here. I'm not too stressed about it. I'm guessing overall it's about 1.25 inches head space. 1 teaspoon of sea salt. When you're canning, you don't want to use something like iodized salt, something with the heating process or the pressure makes it turn blue. I do have full comprehensive how-to videos on pressure canning. This is not going to be that. This is just kind of showing my process of putting some meat away. During the busy season, I am very eager to get that meat out of that refrigerator too, because that's my dairy fridge. We have several goats in milk, and we just bought another one. She gives over 1 gallon a day, and so we get a lot of milk every day. And I have 3 refrigerators. I've got this one here in the house, one in my husband's shed, and then there's one on the front porch. Who cares about appearances when you have so much going on? So got the salt in, and what I just did was put some vinegar along the rims just in case there was any kind of fat or salt or anything on the rim. I don't want anything impeding our seal. So I'm gonna put these fingertip tight. This particular canner back here, it's the Nesco. Can you see it? This is a Nesco electric pressure canner, and I actually really like it. It really helps on days like today when my big canner fits some of it, but not all of it, and so I don't have to stay up and do another round of canning. I can get it all done at once. This particular canner too, it calls for 8 cups of water to get going. Woo! And I actually forgot to do this in my other canner. I'm gonna open it up real quick and do it, but putting in a splash of vinegar really helps keep the jars clean. If anything kind of over bubbles, it just, I don't know, it's like a acid type steam in there, and the jars usually come out pretty sparkly clean. Over here we have my big canner. This is a Presto canner that I bought years ago, and it's just now starting to heat up, so no problem with opening it. That's not like a vital step, but I like to do it. Canning time for bone-in meat, I believe, is 90 minutes. I am gonna double check. I have gotten things wrong before by just trying to go from memory. Oh, they've changed the website. It looks different. I'm like, I'm not on the right spot. It's got like, it's red now. With bones, raw pack quart, 75 minutes. So if we did not have the bones in it, it would have been 90 minutes. But because there's bones, it's only 75 minutes. See, it was worth looking. All right, both canners are going, and I'm on the struggle bus trying to figure out where to put you so I can show you cooking rabbit. So I think that more people would enjoy rabbit if they knew how to cook it. You can't exactly treat rabbit like you can treat chicken. The flavor is very much the same. The texture, the fat is very different. And with rabbit, you really need to be able to cook it low and slow. You kind of always want to stew rabbit just so that any kind of chewy, gristly bits kind of melt away. You know, rabbits are very bouncy and springy. They have these very strong tendons, and you need to be able to cook it in the way that kind of melts those down. So I have this pan that I cooked sausage in this morning. I'm just gonna heat this fat up. That's another thing, rabbit is very lean, and so it's a good idea to cook it in some fat or with some fat. So one piece of advice that I have when cooking rabbit is to pat it dry before you add your seasonings. We are going to pan sear this for a little bit of a crust on each piece, and that just helps get a nice crispy skin, plus our seasonings tend to stick better. We also don't want to overload our pan, so I'll probably only do about 3 pieces and we'll work in batches. Just gonna use this all-purpose seasoning to season the rabbit on one side. I'll season the other side when it's in the pan.
Later.
I've set this red pot behind the rabbit, and I am going to be transferring the rabbit into that pot. I had some leftover gravy that we made frozen, and this is a really great application for something like that. Any kind of leftover gravy or sauce I like to keep if it makes sense to cook rabbit in it. So it's a bone broth gravy with lion's mane mushroom. See that nice skin. Once it's brown to your liking, go ahead and remove it, and then move on to the next batch. All right, so both of our canners are venting steam, and we've got the rabbit in here to stew. So you can tell that I don't have all the pieces underneath the gravy. That's fine. I'm just gonna put the lid on. And I am just going to simmer this for about an hour to an hour and a half. If you have an hour and a half to give it, that's gonna be the best in my opinion, especially with a larger rabbit like that. And that pot was pretty well crammed. So we're gonna try to give it that. And later on, I'm gonna fry up some asparagus to go with it. This will be the first time we will have had asparagus this year out of the garden. So our rabbit's looking real good. Look at all the asparagus. So this is a really nifty way that you can store your asparagus until you're ready to eat it. This has been sitting up here for a couple days. I keep adding new water to it. And then this is what we picked today. Over here I've got another cast iron pan. I'm just gonna add a good dollop of butter. These are huge. You excited about asparagus, honey?
Yes.
Here. Now, unlike chicken, rabbit is something that you don't exactly pick up and eat like you would a chicken leg or a chicken wing or something. It usually falls off the bone really easily. For us, it's something that we eat with a fork.
I like the texture of rabbit. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, me too.
I've done a piece of wood and I had a splinter in my cut.
The sign at the store was so cute. It said, free pocket knives. Every little boy needs a knife. I should have taken a picture of it. Rabbit does have some tiny bones. They are mostly where like the knees are, in the backbone. But because this rabbit was cooked to perfection, the meat fell off the bone, but the bones didn't like fall apart.
So they remained for a long time, speaking boldly for the Lord, who bore witness to the word of his grace.
Well, hey, handsomes. Hey, Joopy. I saw a really good strawberry here earlier. Right there. I'm excited that it's the time of year where we can make dinner, even eat dinner late, and still have sunlight afterwards to get outside in. I up-potted my tomatoes today. They were in a little bit of a sad state inside those little tiny pots. See this tomatillo trying to put on a flower? I don't really want that, but I'm trying to be careful picking these flowers off, but also not like topping the plant. I don't want to accidentally cut off the growing point. Got lots of work to do in the greenhouse. Big plans for this weekend. This space, especially the center row here, is really gonna transform. I'm so excited. All the flowers that the pollinators have been loving they're pretty much gone by. Like, they look beautiful still, but there's not a whole lot left to them, I don't think. I did notice this yesterday though. Do you guys remember that I planted some calendula? Probably, I don't know, 6 months ago. Can we say good evening to you boys? We've been doing great here in this pasture with no hay. Look at his green beard. See if I can get him to show you. Look. Show them your, oh, it's not as green as it was. You've been drinking water? Hi, Nefarious. You're so handsome. So handsome. You guys both need a pedicure, hmm? You guys are easy to love on when you're not in rut season. You know that? You little boys want loving? Say not really. That's one of Elpis's boys. That's Turd. He's super skittish. Jupiter is really not, though. Are you learning bad habits? Hmm. What are you doing? Cute. Good evening. I didn't bring treats. No, you're a biter. Nope, we don't play that game. I don't have treats. You look like you've enjoyed the hay buffet today, ma'am. Have you? I don't have treats. They keep looking for treats. I've been spoiling you guys, haven't I? Elsa girl. I don't have treats. But I'll bring treats when I come to milk you later, okay? Winnie! Hi, girl! How you doing? Yes. And then we have a Lara. And Winnie's bro. You guys are too sweet. No, bottles in a few hours, okay? Bottles in a few. Good morning. It is the next day, and we had 7 jars in the big canner and 4 jars in the little canner, so it was 11 jars, and it looks like all of them have sealed, which is excellent. So remember how I said that you can't exactly treat rabbit like chicken? That's really if you're working with a whole rabbit, and it's not canned like this. Canned rabbit can work. That's funny. Canned rabbit can and does work very much like canned chicken or cooked shredded chicken, and that's what I really like to do with most of this. This time of year we're headed into the garden season, which is a really busy time of year. Having meat already cooked up that I don't have to heat up the kitchen with in order to cook is really valuable, and we can use this in any way that we could use cooked shredded chicken, to include chicken salad. So I'm gonna get these wiped off and labeled and put away. The remaining rabbit, I think I am gonna put in the freezer just so we have some versatile options with our meals. But I promised you guys the video where I teach you step by step how to part out a whole rabbit. I'm gonna put that up here. And that video is part of an entire series on raising rabbits from start to finish. So if you're interested in that and you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and click this playlist.